Hello, my name's Olorotimi Osha. I like to talk about history and sometimes I talk about the Bible when it's a Sunday. Yesterday I discussed the story of the old prophet who stopped receiving word from God, prophecies from God, and he, uh, got jealous of a new profound prophet who had been sent by God to prophesy against King Jeroboam of Israel, and the prophet ended up lying to this younger prophet and sabotaging him, and it led to the death of the younger prophet. Now, I didn't have time to clarify and explain that my the purpose of my analogy. I was reading from that passage in order to analogize my situation, my relationship with Jide Iwarere, a Howard University professor of finance, and also he is an elder at Forsey Memorial Bible Church. He on May 14th, 2023, after he and another man had assaulted me, he filed a falsified, a fabricated, and perjured emergency evaluation petition, in which everything he wrote was a work of fiction, right, from his demented mind and depraved heart. And this ostensibly it was pretext for Montgomery County Police and a SWAT team to raid me, falsely imprison me, and assault me. These are permanent scars from the assault by Montgomery County Police Officer Jeffrey Ray, and where he shot me in the head, or other police officers who tasered me and injured me. And they've subsequently filed false charges against me. I've done videos explaining that. Now, Jide Ware's objective was to sabotage my career. My career was flourishing, and he presents this image of a mild mannered man and with respect to me, he presents this. He's very solicitous, right? He's inquiring, pretending like he likes, he's trying to uh, help my career, even though he's never gotten me a job, right? He's never gotten me a job. He didn't invite me to America, right? He's, by the way, he's not my uncle. There's no consanguinity between us. If you test our blood, DNA or whatever, you see we're not related in any way, right? He's not related to any of my parents. He's not related to me. So he fabricated this emergency petition claiming it was my uncle. Um, in the Nigerian community, because we don't call adults by their names, we refer to them as uncle, aunt. Sometimes we even say, if we really respect you, we call you mommy, daddy, even though you're not our parents, right? And there's no consanguinity, there's no relationship, right? So in any event, Jide Wariri apparently had this envy, right? He was a professor and his kids are doing well. He has a son who's a professor. He has other kids who are attorneys in Montgomery County, and I guess that's how they had the influence, right, to get a judge, BBM Berry, to approve the perjured emergency and flawed emergency evaluation petition, right, which violated my constitutional rights, my sort of privacy rights. So I was literally kidnapped under color of law. My family had no idea what was going on. Even though I have an aunt who's a psychiatrist here in Maryland, she had no idea. I have my other cousins in Maryland. They had no idea where I was, no idea what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know Jide Wari did this harebrained scheme. Um, but in any event, what was going on in my life? Um, I had been an auditor in the Department of the Navy. Of course, I filed an EEOC complaint because I'd been instructed by the Auditor General of the Navy, Don Jede Gilmore, to file these EEOC complaints, right? Those were my constitutional rights. Um, and, I worked in a classified area, so I can't get into details, but my life was going excellently well. Of course, I done videos, talked about my background, my educational background. The world is my oyster, right? And I'm an American citizen. I achieved what I came to do in America. And I was working in the federal government. I hold a Juris Doctor degree from George Washington University Law School. Um, I don't have the bar yet. I haven't taken the bar exam. So I was I canceled my bar exams because of uh, for different reasons, different circumstances. I canceled my plans on taking the bar, but I intended to take it later on, especially once I was going through the top secret clearance and I got into the federal government. I had plans to take the bar exam. Now I had reached out, and I'd actually it was actually someone who reached out to me, someone who was an acquisitions attorney in the Navy reached out to me. He's a white guy, older guy, reached out to me and made himself sort of like an informal mentor regarding helping me become an acquisitions attorney, saying he wanted me in his shop, but this was what I had to do, right? At this time, I was an auditor in the Department of the Navy. And of course, I was waiting. I was just 3 months into a promotion. Prior to that, the Auditor General of the Navy, who said she was my mentor, right? Don Jide Gilmore. She was the head of the agency I worked for. She said she was my mentor. She told me not to tell anybody. Well, I introduced her to Jide Iwarere on December 25, 2022, on Christmas Day, right? So she told me there was an opening. I don't know how she did it, but she urged me to apply to this new opening. There was an opening in acquisitions for an attorney. I explained to her that I don't have the bar, I wouldn't be qualified. But she sent me the details. She said I'm not required to have the bar exam, that they'll take me without the bar exam. This was awesome. Awesome, right? But the thing is, I had plans on completing my role as an auditor to get to the next level, right? Because I was laddered, right? So that means each time a year came around, I was automatically promoted, moved up. So that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to get to that next ladder and then move to the acquisitions attorney role. And one opened for me in which I didn't have to take the bar. They'll take me to become an acquisitions attorney. I could take the bar whenever. They didn't even mention that. I was surprised, but somehow it worked out. So I had all these great opportunities. I had another um, opening at the Pentagon in intelligence, so many other positions. I made these known to Jide Warrior. But Jide Warrior, in his harebrained in his scheme, wrote that I'd been fired as an auditor and I'd been unwell and I had attacked him. That's insulting him for coming to my house, that I was delusional, that I called my home a military base, that I said he would be shot if he comes to my home. All of this was a fabrication. He wrote something about paranoia, about hallucinating. Apparently, he was hallucinating that I'm hallucinating because no one has seen it. None of my friends, none of the state psychiatrists, right, that I was forced to go and see because of his schemes. All of them have said it was a lie. They've determined Jide Wariri lied. They've apologized to me that I have a legal action against him, of course, and the state. All of them have apologized to me. None of them was never given any medication, never given treatment because I refuse. That's my right. And when they observed it, everybody would write. They wrote it down in writing, said it to the judge or verbally that no, this man has no mental illness. They apologized to me. So it was clear Jide Wariri had fabricated, had lied. That's what the psychiatrist determined, the psychologist, state psychiatrist in the state of Maryland. So at some point, he was also charged. The state of Maryland charged him twice, but of course, the corrupt state attorney John McCarthy suppressed, prosecution. Um, the assistant state attorney had said, well, will bring up the charges against him at any time. And of course, the Department of Justice, other places in Nigeria, my family's already filed a complaint against him. My family just wants me back home. I'll file a statement. I've already made the statement to the Nigerian government, right? So, Nigerian government, I've already made the statement to lawyers. They're working on it. They just need me back home first, and they'll file formal charges for his extradition. That's Jide Iwarere, because what he did was not just defaming me, but it was attempted murder, kidnapping under color of law. So he presents himself like a mild mannered person. It's a camouflage. He's not, right? He's not. Indoors, I've lived in his place before and I saw what he's done. He's assaulted his wife. He assaulted his wife. He's, you know, in my presence. He's assaulted. She fears him. He goes into this violent rage, right? Violent rage. It's explosive, sudden. And he looks like a monster when he gets into this violent rage. And he hit her and she fears him and she just flees. She just moves fast, she walks fast away. She's very swift. He's done it in public. He did it in public in a Nigerian family's home. This was in 1999 when I went to visit them. 1999, I was surprised. He did it in public. The family didn't do anything because, that family, the man was very abusive to his wife. In fact, he was abusive to his daughter. So it's something they do in the Nigerian communities, right? Some men, they beat their wives. It's very common, unfortunately, in the Nigerian community. So when he hit her in public, they didn't do anything. They didn't say anything. He's a violent man. He hides it with white people. White people, he pretends to be mild because he's a coward. See, Jide is a coward. All the while, when he had filed a false emergency evaluation petition against me, when he'd gone to the police against me, lying, I was in my home. I had no idea. So when I was in the hospital, he didn't tell me he was the one who did it. Because I called him first. I reached out to him because I had his phone number memorized, right? And, I didn't have my phone with me. So I remembered his phone. So I called him. I asked him to do some things. He was pretending, being solicitous, everything. He didn't tell me initially that he was the one. He was the reason that the cops came to my home. He had gone to lie. He's a coward, you know. And Jide, so what he wanted to do was sabotage my career, right? He has deep psychological problem. It's something he had probably from his childhood. There's some people like that. He came from deep, abject poverty. But you should, he's not the first to overcome poverty. He's not the first to overcome hardship, but he has some kind of deep, disturbing mental illness because he told me he hallucinated as a child. He didn't know his real mother until he was an adult. I don't know how all these things affected him, but he's a violent maniac. He's a lunatic. What he's done, my family is against him. Nobody talks to him in my family, but he's done something that's put the state of Maryland in trouble because they're facing serious legal jeopardy. I don't know how rich Maryland thinks they are, right, or Montgomery County, but we're going to file a lawsuit, right? They just need me, first of all, back, they need me, at home, first of all, right? They can't blackmail me, they can't threaten me, because if this were a case of a mistake, my family's already made it clear that Jide Iwarere lied. If it was a case of Maryland acted in good faith, Maryland hasn't acted in good faith. The state attorney, Montgomery County Police, they fabricated things, created false evidence, fabricated a neighbor called Germashumi, who's a dangerous lunatic, can't speak a word of English, wrote a fabricated peace order. The man who came with Jide Iwarere on May 14 and assaulted me, I don't know why he grabbed me. That was the thing that shocked me the most. Jide Iwarere grabbing me meant nothing. But when the foreigner I had never spoken with grabbed me, it was crazy. And then they fabricated what happened. Fortunately, I had a witness. My witness spoke with the police, but the police went and lied. And so that Sergeant Charles Drengwitz wrote a false incident report. So we're seeing all this staging of events. That's the reason American people we don't trust our government. We don't trust the police. The police are rogues like Sergeant Charles Drengwitz, rogues like DeMarcus Coleman, rogues like Hedgen Chin. These people fabricated their incident reports. I'm a law-abiding, innocent man. I deserve to feel safe in my own home. I was in my home. I was assaulted. My friend asked me, call 911, call the police. I didn't know Jide Iwarere had already plotted with the police to assault me, to kidnap me under color of law. Eventually, they stole my property, stole my cash, stole my identity. What they did was a felony. They stole my certificate of naturalization and they've denied it. Who else removed me from my home? They stole my cash. That was wire fraud because they used my debit card to remove cash from my bank account, right? About $350. Apart from the cash in my home, they stole cash from my home. I had cash in my wallet, cash in my apartment because I was going to transfer money back home. I've been sending money back home. I was going to transfer money. That's why I removed money. They stole it, right? They stole my wristwatches, luxury wristwatches, lots of my colognes, my clothes, stole my stuff. Bunch of criminals, and Jide Iwarere was the one who led them to do it. Jide Iwarere, when I went to his home after he assaulted me on May 14, I went to his home. I bought Vicks, lemon drops, and honey, African honey for his wife. When I went to see, okay, is this because he's an old man? And I'd seen he started acting erratic. He started making crazy comments, crazy statements. For instance, there was a time he told me that President Donald Trump, planned on putting Nigerians in a concentration camp. I thought that was so harebrained. How can a professor actually believe this? Because they send all sorts of conspiracy theories, on the internet, on social media. And I'm thinking, okay, if this guy's an educated man. He sees this. Why does he believe it? He was trying to discuss this with me. He looked agitated. Jide Wire is crazy. Look, the hospital told me he has dementia. He's in denial. When they saw, because I didn't know what was going on. I'd just been assaulted because the whole thing was staged. That's one as well. So I'd been assaulted in my home. I'm not a violent man. I don't like violent games. Eventually, one of the psychiatrists told me, hey, Jide Ware has dementia, but he's in denial. His age, somebody whom he claimed was his family, told me he's over 80. My aunt, my mom, my family in Nigeria said, no, he's over 80. My family, they said he's over 80. He's older than my mother. In America, he claims to be 70s. He's using a false age. In any event, my goal was to say how he was jealous. I don't know why he was jealous, but he was trying to sabotage my career. My life was going excellently well. I had a magazine. I had a business partner in Nigeria. I'd been approved for some things. The things I inherited back home, right? The things I was doing back home, I was getting ready to go home and execute these plans, these projects. There was so much, if America fires me, the world's my oyster. I'm from Nigeria. My father was a bank chairman, bank CEO, new Nigerian president. Does anybody think that's the end of my life? No, absolutely not. In any event, let me keep this short and I will keep you posted. Thank you.